Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another classic movie review for you guys, and this movie I'm going to be reviewing, I have always wanted to see this movie. I've always been interested in this movie. Ever since I've heard of it, I've always wanted to see it, and finally I've seen it, and that is the 1984 musical mockumentary classic. This is Spinal Tap. Now, again, I've always wanted to see this movie. I've always been interested in this movie for quite a few reasons. I've heard this is the movie that is, like, the best mockumentary of all time. I heard it's one of the funniest comedies of all time. And I've always been interested in this movie. Really, I have. And I really want to see if the movie was really as funny as it was. And overall, how is this a Spinal Tap? This is comedy gold. It is very rare for me to say that I love a comedy as much as I do. I'm I'm usually very careful when it comes to comedies. This is one of the funniest movies I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm being completely honest with you guys. This movie is fucking hilarious. It's hilarious. It has everything that I think makes a great comedy. There's not one joke in this movie that doesn't work. Not one joke. And there are so many reasons why this movie works as good as it does. I mean, one of the funniest things about this movie is that when this movie first came out, people actually thought that this was a real rock band. Let's get to the plot of this as Spinal Tap, because it's actually really funny. We follow around this fake, group that supposedly was popular in the 1970s called Spinal Tap. They're doing a documentary on them, and it's basically the various problems they get into as they go on their concert tour, and then they see the plot of This is Spinal Tap. Now, something really funny about this movie is that this is not a real band, but when the movie first came out, people actually thought this was a real band, and that's because of the thing the movie does best, and that is that it completely makes you think this is a real band. It does a very good job of doing that. I mean, right in the beginning, you see some guy, like, do an intro talking about how he made this film because of Spinal Tap, and there's this guy, Marty Divergi. That's actually the director, Rob Reiner, who I will talk about his directing, but everything in this movie just works. Seriously, everything works perfectly in this movie, and the thing is, everyone was on board with this movie, especially the acting. Everyone in the acting department, they were completely on board with this movie, and they know this movie's ridiculous. That's something I love. Michael McKean, as David St. Hobbins, is just hilarious. He really is. He perfectly plays the part of the really high-strung lead singer who constantly drives the band nuts. I mean, you always see that the lead singer gets into the most problems, things like that, and I thought that was really funny. However, for me, the scene stealer really was Christopher Guest as Tuffy. I thought he was hilarious. First of all, it only goes to 11. That's like the funniest line ever. I mean, he was just hilarious in the movie. He is the guitar player. He's so funny. I mean, everyone really did a fantastic job, I have to say. The thing is that they know what kind of movie they're making. They're completely on board with it. The thing that works the best is just all the acting is great. Honestly, all the acting is great. All of the fans as well were absolutely hilarious. Just to get these fans' reactions that aren't real, it's hilarious. It was great. And Rob Reiner was hilarious in this movie as well. Everyone did a fantastic job, really. There's not one bad performance in this movie. I think everyone was fantastic, and really, everyone was just great in this movie. And they were all just on board with it. Really, they all were, and I loved it. By far, though, the best thing about this movie is the directing by Rob Reiner, because he makes this movie doesn't seem like it's a parody of, rock mockumentaries, but it is. That's exactly what it is, and Rob Reiner does a great job in basically making it seem like it's real, and that's why it's so funny, because it's outrageous. It's ridiculous. There's no way this could be real. However, he tricked audiences into thinking this was real, and they have since then said that those audiences, they still think it's real, and that's why the movie wasn't very well received when it first came out. However, you can very clearly tell that this is not real. I mean, just the things that go on. They lose drummers, randomly. There's a scene where, they have an amplifier that only goes to 11, and because of that, IMDb, if you go on their star ratings, their star rating goes up to 11. It's hilarious that they did that. I love that IMDb did that. That honestly is great. I think that's awesome that they did that for this movie. Really, it's great. I mean, just the various problems they get into in this movie. It's some of the funniest stuff, and I think the directing by Rob Reiner was just great, especially the fact that he went all out. This is completely filmed like a regular documentary. It doesn't seem, and it's very much like how Airplane was. I mean, if you guys look at my review of Airplane, I say that it doesn't feel like it's a parody. This doesn't either. It seems completely serious. Just the lines they're saying, they're ridiculous. Everything they talk about in this movie, every problem they get into, it's stupid. It's not serious at all. It's stupid. I mean, there's literally a scene where where I shit you not, this is an actual scene. And it's actually very funny. Definitely, it's very funny. David is pissed because there was this really serious song where he put everyone in, like, this trance, and it turned into, like, this midget comedy number, and he has a whole fit about it. It's hilarious, really. I thought that it was great, and I love the way they handled that. Honestly, it really was hilarious. I love that about this movie. Honestly, this is Spinal Tap is one of the greatest things ever. I'm gonna be completely honest. Some of the greatest movies I think I've ever seen. Really, it is. The writing here, oh my god, the best thing about this movie by far is the writing. It's so sharp and so funny, honestly. This movie had me laughing like I've never laughed in a while, honestly. One of the funniest movies I've ever seen by far, and again, it's just because of how ridiculous this movie is. It's so endlessly quotable as well. I will definitely be quoting, it goes up to 11 for a very long time. I'll be quoting a lot of lines, I'll be quoting a lot of songs, and I love that. I love that I'll be quoting things. That's something that I want in a comedy, is quotable lines. This movie has that. This is probably one of the most quotable movies I think you could see, really. And I think that's one of the things that makes this movie as good as it is, are the quotable lines. I love about this movie. Definitely is something I loved. And also the songs in this movie. Oh my god, they were hilarious as well. Every song is completely ridiculous. They get dumber and dumber as they go on, but I love that. I love how ridiculous the songs got. I mean, there's a literal song about, there's a song about about, like, the flower people. There's a song about, like, I mean, their songs are completely ridiculous, and there's a song called "Lick My Love Pump." I mean, their album is called "Smell the Glove." I thought that was hilarious. The movie also does a really good job of parodying what happens with, like, rock singers. Like, for example, controversial album covers and how they come across as sexist and how women don't like them. There's a great subplot where there's this album cover that's really sexual, but they don't see a single problem with it, and it's absolutely hilarious because it's clearly wrong. I mean, I believe it's like a really graphic picture of, like, a woman or something, but it's really wrong, and they don't really see a problem with it, and it's absolutely hilarious. I mean, half of the stuff they're saying in this movie makes no sense whatsoever, but that's why it's so funny, because you never see this in a regular rock documentary. That's how you know it's fake, really. You can tell when things are fake. There's a scene where they're trying to, play guitar, where Tuffy's trying to play guitar, and a police car siren goes off. That's how bad it is. Like, it's hilarious stuff to see him get into that. That's the kind of stuff that this movie is built on, and that's what makes this movie as funny as it is, really. I just feel this movie just got funnier and funnier as it went on. It never lost that steam, and I love that. Something else is that the cinematography is great. It looks really low budget, which I loved as well. It has that same, like, it has the look of a documentary of the 80s, which I thought was really funny. I definitely really love that as well. And the other thing is that they went all out with this movie. They really did. They tried to do whatever they could to make it seem as much like a rock documentary as possible. And I feel like what the movie's really trying to say is that rock bands are really shitty. Really, they're shitty, and they get into a lot of problems, and a lot of times they're really shit. They're really stupid, and I love the way the movie poked fun at that. I thought that was really great as well. The way the movie poked fun at the band bonding, the way the movie poked fun at just the drummers and everything, how many times they lost the drummers. One of the funniest scenes is in the very beginning of the movie where they talk about the inspiration for the band when it was originally called. They originally called themselves the Originals, but they had to change it because there's already a band called the Originals. That was hilarious. I thought that was great. I definitely loved that. I mean, one of the funniest scenes in the movie by far. I thought that was great. And also seeing just the songs they write, and yet they have this huge, huge fan base. You're like, how do they get a fan base from a song like that? Like, there is no, in real life, there is no way someone will get a fan base from a song like the songs in this movie. They're completely ridiculous, and even, probably offensive even, honestly. Some of these songs could be offensive. That's how, like, weird they are, but you just have to go with that in this movie. Something you have to know going into this movie is that it's not supposed to be serious. It's completely ridiculous, and it's great though. That's one of the things that I love, is that it feels real though, and that's something I absolutely loved about it. And I just thought that was really great. And also the songs to me really made me think that a rock band could sing anything and people would love it. That really is what it seems like. Because think of a band like the Beatles. They literally could sing shit on a platter, and people would love it because they're the Beatles and they're singing and, fangirls and things like that. Well, you still have that today in rock bands. Any song that they'll put out is an instant hit, really. That's how it still is today. However, this is not a movie that could be made today because rock is not how it was then. Rock is very different now, and if you were to do this now, it would be like some boy band, and that really wouldn't work like it does in this movie. This works really well, and you also get the sense that these people in the band, they are very fucked up, and, you have that time period in the 80s. You really can't do that nowadays. You can't really capture that now, and I'm happy that they made this then and not now, because I really don't feel like you could capture the real, soul of this movie, which really is truly just the, not so much not just so much the rock band part of it, but even like the, just stuff like the songs they sing and the fan base they have, that wouldn't really be relevant today. It had to be a 80s thing, as a very 80s thing, that's something that would stay in the 80s and something that I don't feel you could really show today. And I'm happy that they decided to make it then, and it really is a classic, honestly. It's one of the few comedies I've seen that I'm like, you know what, that is an instant classic. And the second I was done watching it, I wanted to watch it again. That's how funny this movie is. And, like, their hairstyles are completely 80s. Their songs are completely 80s. I mean, you listen to their songs, there's times they sound like the Beatles. There are times they sound like, AC/DC. I mean, they have all kinds of material, and I thought that was great. And also the scene where they're parodying, like, the Beatles, absolutely hilarious. I love that. I thought that was great when they did that. I definitely really love that about that scene as well. So overall, guys, I absolutely love this as Spinal Tap, and also, there are tons of celebrity cameos in this movie, which I absolutely love, and even then, people thought this movie was real, and I can understand why. I mean, it does a very good job of doing that, but it's not real, okay? Come on, people. This movie's not real. It's not. It's make-believe, it's fake, there's no rock band called Spinal Tap. You could look it up. All you will find is this movie. That's all you're gonna find, is this movie, and that's really all you need. This is a movie that I feel anyone should watch if they're a fan of music. Anyone that loves rock bands, things like that, they need to watch it. It's a fantastic movie. 5 out of 5. It's an absolute masterpiece. It's comedy gold. It's absolutely hilarious. There's really no other movie like it, which is awesome that there's really no other movie like it. And that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw of this movie. You have seen it. I really love this movie. I thought it was awesome. There's really not much else I can say about it. That's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Unreal, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.